What's up, people lovers? RMS Cup Finals, best of 9 between TaToH and Mister Yo. Swift draft here for you. It is Fractal as game number 1 as the voted map, and after that we have home maps exclusively. We see Mister Yo going for the early lane. He's playing Berbers against TaToH's Persians, and well, as we would expect from the Berber, some villager rushing here. We saw even more than those villagers pulled over and over again. Lots of aggression here. TaToH's economy a bit disrupted. Was out there a bit earlier, got the fishing economy, but both will dock block, not too much happening there. But fuel age was really late for both of them in this game due to the villager rush. TaToH even decided to do then delete his town center, try to go for some aggression, and Mister Yo is losing his town center as well. TaToH is following this one up with the tower, but luckily Mister Yo already chopped through and could escape with all his villagers down here, had to delete the dock. Nice moves by him. Then Mister Yo replacing his town center. Remember, this was the starting town center of TaToH. This was the starting town center of Mister Yo here. So pretty wild game and Kansas City shuffle here for sure. Then Mister Yo reached Castle Age earlier. TaToH barely managed to wall this one in time. As you can see, knights are popping any second. But TaToH with a really nice timing and finishes everything off. Won't die to those. But Mister Yo simply managed to have the better economy with the escape villages, with still the running fish for him. TaToH is in the end reclaiming water, but the knight and mangonel pressure was just too much. As we can see here, knight numbers pretty nice there with 8 conversions are flying in, but not having enough. Town center is going to die even with more HP, and TaToH struggling quite a bit on that end. And then even tried to expand, tried to douche again, but Mister Yo could afford the castle. Population was pretty even, but TaToH knew all those villagers were going to die. And Mister Yo takes game number 1 in an incredibly wild game, as we can see, like town centers everywhere, and this one was complete chaos, but Mister Yo, the master of chaos apparently. From here on, exclusively home maps by the previous map's loser, and as we can see, we are going for Koala. Quite aggressive move here. Both are trying to lame in this Mesa war. Mister Yo with Aztecs, TaToH with Incas, and Eagle War here. Let's take a look. Mister Yo push that one away. 10 against 10 HP. TaToH takes off another hit, and gets long distance kill. So nice opening here for Mister Yo. And TaToH, well, we'll play this one a bit more blind, and as you can see, well, has to move some with his villagers. In the end, we see some laming. Nice counter move by TaToH, as we see lots of stuff happening here. Forces some extra mills. Mister Yo trying to chase this one. Palisade, and gets the quadruple palisade to wall in the villager. Quite a nice move. Gets some more HP here. This one gets really low. 9 HP. Mister Yo focuses 3 HP. But TaToH with a gate behind this one as well. So nice early moves. Eventually the villager will fight herself out, and some nice shenanigans. Then both players went for archer ranges. Did not a lot, well, we didn't see a lot of stuff happening. Archers at home, as you can see, KD pretty even after some units ran around. No real kills. And yeah, not too exciting feudal age here. Then we went into some mangonel aggression. Well, we see redemption time for Mister Yo and his Aztecs. Remember, 3 relics already here for Mister Yo. Same will go for TaToH, who is picking those up as well. And we can see redemption comes in at a pretty solid timing. Mangonel pressure here completely stopped with that, and Mister Yo gets a good conversion, gets a good kill. TaToH returns the favor, at least slightly, but that one went pretty well. And, well, TaToH basically had one mission this whole game: to tower up everything, to control the wood lines. Ran around with crossbows here, skirms for the defense. Mangonel's trying to free this one up in the center. And as you can see, we see Mister Yo trying to expand a bit more. TaToH goes exactly for the continued aggression, skirms for the defense, but nice wall in by Mister Yo to come up. More control in the center, and Yo really struggled to get more wood control, but TaToH invested a lot in there as well. In total, he built, I think, 8 towers this game. and also went for guard towers, as you can see, ballistics. We have Botkin, eagle aggression behind this, and Mr. Yo's economy ran a bit smoother, and then even after one defensive castle was able to try to build a one at the front, but only with 7 low HP villagers. Counter tower here, but as you can see, jaguars are already out. Some eagle for conversion not really happening. More eagles coming in. Now some idols over here at the side. Skirms are flying in as well, but maybe we could have seen some more kills. TaToH not using all his army. Maybe the villagers could have been added as well. Now focus down the jaguars here, and the castle eventually will go up. TaToH maybe with some misclicks and not the ideal micro, and obviously this castle gives a good position for Mr. Yo, and TaToH from here on really struggled to address the skirmisher plus jaguar composition. Mr. Yo reaches in way earlier, as we can see, with the resources, and TaToH, even the third castle going up, couldn't really do too much, is sending over some villagers, went for some slingers, but as you can see, economy 2 upgrades here against the 5 upgrades on the other side, plus Aztecs economy with more carrying and the relics. We saw Mr. Yo had significantly less villagers, had to invest less, and in the end actually both of them gathered the same resources, but TaToH such a big investment everywhere that did not have the same effect as the push through the center by Mr. Yo. Jumping into game 3, we have a Franks versus Hansbor, and somewhat as expected, we see a double stable opening, both from the Han player and from the Frank player. We saw a nice early pickoff here by TaToH, but lost some HP. We see TaToH delayed Loom quite a bit. Mr. Yo already had it, but oh, look at that. Even a nice llama taken away here. Neither player really going for, or at least TaToH not really going for the early farm upgrade. Didn't really have the mill, but he does something sneaky. Look at that, already 100 gold in the bank. Did collect a full 50 and went for early bloodlines here. Obviously 54 HP for the Franks, 65 then for the Han player, and we saw Mass Scout Spearman, but Mr. Yo realizes, wow, you're going for quite some investment, was thinking more into the Castle Age direction, while TaToH was ready to go for the full all-in, and realizes, damn, you're fully walled, is pulling some villagers, but Mr. Yo, obviously a master of the egg base, and is defending quite a bit. Now more towers are coming in. Mr. Yo realizes, okay, I need to wall a bit more in those areas. Will stonewall this, will house wall a bit more behind, is going for forging himself, is now going for the night production, gets the town center up at the front, and TaToH, as we can see, still goes for more barracks, goes for double stable, double barracks for quite some time in feudal age, goes for more aggression, and spearman count is getting pretty crazy. 7 scouts, 17 spearmen against a lousy 4 knights out, but double TC simply gives enough protection here for Mr. Yo, and this is continuing for quite some time. We have the monastery here as well for some healing, town center obviously helping out quite a bit as well. Then we add the siege workshop to go for some scorpions, but scorpions are obviously getting sniped by the scouts. Monks out there a bit too far as well. The ram is getting killed by the by all the spearmen, and now it's 12 military against 32. Mr. Yo only slightly ahead in villages, but somehow Mr. Yo's economy is getting better and better, was able to build a 3rd town center here as well, some conversions, and those spearmen, well, they want to take a fight against the knights, but with the help of the town center behind this one, obviously becomes really tricky, and the damage output was solid here. TaToH is taking this fight, has some upgrades here in the blacksmith, but it is not enough. Knights simply too good here with the extra HP. We have the better economy upgrades as well on Mr. Yo's side, goes back with his knights for healing, stops that tower and completely stabilizes, while TaToH is 10 villages behind, now losing the advantage when it comes to military as well. TaToH did continue to go for the spearman, as we can see. Goes for 18 more in the queue. Now the tower. Mr. Yo tries to go for the gold in the center. Knight number, not that scary. 21 against 5. But we know once we have Axemen out, feudal age army is achieving nothing, and Mr. Yo sending so many villages here. Some are dying, but no stopping there. And Mr. Yo, in a wild defense, is actually taking the 3-0. TaToH with a feudal age all in, but couldn't break the small egg base here, and then the tight defense by Mr. Yo. Remember, 400 wood on those streets, so expansion not needed that early. Game 4, Ring of Reeds, Mayans against in this very strategic map. Let's see what the openings were. We can see TaToH actually was able to steal a boar. Mister Yo tried to go for some blocks. Boar spawning very far away, and Mister Yo saw it early, but TaToH did a really nice job. Had the better opening with that one, but we also had some deer push early on for Mister Yo, so not the worst thing in the world. Then we see both players going for unique units here. We see Conquistadors and Plumed Archers to be built. And as we all know, Conquistadors, arguably the strongest unit in Castle Age there. If you can babysit them, if you can micro them. And Plumed Archers trying to find some kills. Didn't really get them too easily. Kongs just absolutely shredded them here. Upgrades were 1 armor. Now even a Scorpion coming in, but wasn't even needed. We have 2 TC play by Mister Yo against 1 TC play by TaToH. And economy slightly better for our Chinese player. And as you can see, not much achieved there with the Plumes. But the Kongs were not always in position, and Plumes were finding some kills in the late game, but Mister Yo already had the better economy. TaToH found 11 kills here, but the main story simply is in the center. Both players on the way to Imperial Age. Double castle setup against only 1 single castle, and TaToH did not expect that apparently, because he added more town centers here, and only 4 minutes later was losing those quite quickly. 3 town centers down within a minute because traps already took care of that castle. Took so much control, and TaToH didn't really know what to go for. Another big attempt here of a forward castle. Spanish bonus helping out so much. We now added in some Plumes, mangonels around as well. Traps not really helping out too much, but the castle was going up, and Mister Yo in a really good spot here, controlling this one so much more. More gold control, and obviously really strategic position while the population was even, but economy is so much better for Mister Yo. That allowed him to tech switch, went for Cavaliers here as well, and yes, count was reasonable together with the Arbalest, but Cavaliers were able to clear all this up, and Kongs were all lost, but no problem here for Mister Yo. TaToH still reasonable in population, but as you can see, villager count is now really getting out of control, and that allowed Mister Yo to even tag into Paladins, had more traps, solid economy for so long, and TaToH really ran out of options with only Arbalest now on the field, plus 4 armor Paladin. Not much you can do there unless you go for mass halberdiers that TaToH could simply not afford because he lost all this farm economy earlier. Tried to expand to the side, did a good job of keeping villager numbers rising, but Paladins, just a unit that he could not handle. 4-0 for Mister Yo after 4 games. RMS Cup Finals, best of 9, 4-0 for Mister Yo, everything on the line for TaToH. Needs to win 5 games in a row now for himself, and he will face Mister Yo with Cumans here. TaToH is playing Poles himself, and it was an incredibly passive early game. We see double 4-walk expansion here, full wall by TaToH, no rush there. Early town center for Mister Yo, and neither player really decided to go for any aggression. 23 minutes into the game, both players playing hyper defensively. KD 3-2. We see the kip check play. We had some knights here as well, and both players actually heavily thinking about imping this one. And we have, well, the castle versus castle setup here at the side. As you can see, both players still didn't fully boom. Early Imperial Ages there with around 70 villagers out of both players, and now you see the power of the kip check. Bombard cannon couldn't really do too much. Cavalier count is slowly rising. Didn't really get any counter attacks in here for quite some time. Kipcheck coming over for the defense of the traps, and Cavaliers, they can't really close down the distance. Later on though, we have the Cavaliers coming in for the counter attack. Should find many villager kills if it wasn't for the quick walls here by Mister Yo. Cavaliers, can they squeeze in? And Mister Yo does a beautiful wall off here. And those Cavaliers get way less damage than I thought they would. Even more rewalls behind this one. Mister Yo absolutely on point, while his kip checks are still defending the traps on the front. And TaToH He's coming in with some bombards, has some traps still, but as you can see, those kip checks, they are so good. Sniping the bombard cannon, now going back and not having the last armor upgrade really hurts Poles here. Yeah, some traps are dying, but kip check count just looks absolutely lethal. And this is still normal kip checks. I think, oh no, this is with elite now. And TaToH, his KD is not that pretty, and it's not getting much better. As you can see here, he's killing lots and lots of villagers, so that was nice because the kip check count here at the front, dealing with so many cavaliers, and all of a sudden, TaToH is claiming this one back. As you can see, 146 villagers, nice economy, only 20 military, but 146 villagers and only 39 farmers of Poles. That's not where you want to be. I think something around the 60 farmer mark is what we're aiming for. Lots of ground lost here, and Mister Yo, he's actually suffering some castle losses because cavaliers were used quite beautifully, but the push through the center continues. And TaToH didn't really have the answers. At 44 minutes, he starts to really attack into skirmishers, didn't even have elite skirmishers, and those kip checks, as you can see, KD 1.6 the ratio there. More skirms for the defense. Will be doing a pretty good job. Cavaliers are annoying, and both players still thinking about pop limit. But Mister Yo then went for halberdiers for the defense, and when he finally switched into hussars, he was pretty well set up to deal with the winged hussars, and skirmisher composition is continuing to push in, and TaToH, who was pop limit just seconds ago, is dropping in population so heavily. The hussar kip check push is flying in, and TaToH drops below pop 130. And Mister Yo will be your champion of RMS Cup 2, and $6,000 richer in a set that ends 5-0 with closer games than the final score is implying, though. Well played by both, and a really interesting finals with some beautiful games. Goodbye, Hippo lovers.